Some new studies have indicated the biological age you might want to retire, and it's younger than you think. This is the Focus Group.
This is the Focus Group with Business Insider's Tim Bennett and John Nash.
I fought worse monsters than you for years in Hollywood. I know how to win the hard way.
We're all business, except when we're not.
Don't f with me, fellas! This ain't my first time at the rodeo.
Hey, welcome to the Focus Group. John Nash here with my good friend and co-host Tim Bennett. Find us every Wednesday live on YouTube and Facebook from 1 to 2 p.m. East, or visit focusgroupradio.com where all our media is housed, like a content warehouse.
Housed.
And by all means, we would love you to subscribe to Unbuttoned, our Tuesday podcast, about 20 minutes long, 3 stories, and a little more, sometimes a little more edgy than the main show. I think that's the way to put it.
A little more? Do you think it's a little more? We could say more on audio than we can on apparently the YouTube platform, which often has things pulled down if we mention anything about
the event.
Well, anything.
About anything. Yeah, really. Anything worth talking about sometimes is flagged as a problematic post.
You can be the Twitter in chief, though, and pretty much say whatever you want over that platform.
You better watch out. You'll get dinged for that.
Yeah.
So welcome to September.
Oh my God, that's right.
I know.
It's
the second, and you and I, it's been quite the summer. We've been busy, but it's flown, and I don't, every year it seems to go by fast anyway. Maybe this year is more noticeable. It wasn't speedy fast, but it was also the things you just couldn't do, I suppose. Right. I ran into a friend of mine yesterday and her husband. She was coming back from a bike ride. Well, random story. I was riding by a friend's house, my friend Linnea. And I thought, I wonder if she's, around. I'll ride up and I'll ring the bell on my bike and see if she's around so we could do a 6-foot visit. No one was around. There was a new car in the driveway, and a car I didn't recognize. Now, she used to drive a Subaru Outback, but there was like a Mercedes SUV and then this, like an Impreza, or the Crosstrek might have been what it was.
Right.
I'm like,
Same thing.
Yeah, these are not cars I recognize. So suddenly, I'm getting ready to leave, and 3 people ride in the driveway, and these are the 3 great friends. My friends, Heather, Donald, her husband Donald, and Linnea, and they're like, "Oh my God!" And I'm like, "Guys, I literally rolled up. We had a great chat, and I said, I'm sorry we haven't been in touch. I wish I could tell you we had flown to the European capitals, and we were doing the grand tour, and we were bringing you back postcards and things from Belgian chocolates." And Heather just smiled, and she said, I had a meltdown the other day. She said, I had a blue day because, she said, I've been seeing my mom. We've been driving. Sometimes we just get in the car and go for a drive because we just can't stand being at home. And I think everybody can relate to that, right?
Yeah, I think we've all gone through the roller coaster of ups and downs. So it's been kind of scary that way.
But yeah, here we are in the fall. Your favorite season, no doubt, right?
Yeah, I love the fall. Well, we know fall's here because I already saw. Well, Costco. I didn't post it, but Costco in January. I took the picture. I think July 27th had out Christmas ribbon.
I thought you were going to go with pumpkin spice, but
well, no, they went right to Christmas ribbon, and I figured, well, if this is going to get us quicker through 2020, then I'm all for it. But but then I did start seeing all the signs. I was in the grocery store. Not only do they have the pumpkin spice creamers out for coffee, but they also have gingerbread, peppermint stick, all the Christmas ones as well. So talk about push. I'm wondering if they're just doing that just because they know everybody's in a funk and it's just like, let's move this forward. That's what I was kind of thinking. But.
Well, we're not even at Halloween yet, right?
No.
And the candy's out, and we were going by the Halloween section of the store, and they had Halloween Oreos, and they've actually done a special cookie that looks like a pumpkin with like a bat on it or something, and the cream filling is orange, which
it's gross.
It's kind of but they had the small Kit Kats and all that stuff, and we were walking by, and Bob's like, candy this or I said, no, they've determined that adults buy a lot of Halloween candy and they're just going to get the jump on it this year because they're not so sure there's going to be a Halloween, right?
Well, that's what I was just going to say. Are people really going to go door to door and take candy that's been handled by somebody else? I don't know. Are you?
I'm not so worried about
you have
that.
To sign up. You have to sign up for candy, don't you?
Well, two places. Our street has no kids at our end of the street, and in fact, the towns around us do a cool thing where they have all the kids come to like the Hamlet Center would be the way to put it. You know, like the town square or something, and they do a fun thing there. And in the city, every apartment building I've ever lived in, there's a sign-up sheet. And if you want kids to come to the door to get candy, you know, the disappointing, I bet people can do it where they could put a bowl of candy out. But the fun was seeing the costumes. And some of them were awfully hilarious, you know, like kids dressed up certain ways. So we'll see what happens, right?
But if you put a bowl of candy out, then that's even just as bad, right? Because then everybody's handling the candy.
Yeah, I'm not so worried about the handling of the candy as
No?
No. I think if handling things was a problem, a lot of us would have been affected by the event more than we have been. It's the way
Probably
I would
right.
put it, right? How's
Probably
things
right.
down?
I haven't decided what I'm doing yet with Halloween.
Well, you were a big fixture in your neighborhood. You also gave out the big bar chocolate.
Yeah, which last year I did not do Halloween.
Was there a complaint, or did people notice? Yeah, they had to have.
Yeah, you know what? Most of the kids that I knew are all grown up now.
Yeah.
So there's a new crop, and I'm probably the grumpy old man in the neighborhood now. So we'll see.
Grumpy old man in the neighborhood. I'm not so sure about that. I am not
we'll
sure.
See.
You guys, you even had the dogs got costumes especially. Didn't Spike used to wear little bat wings or something?
Little Spike had bat wings. Last year he had a jockey outfit, so he had a little
guy riding a horse.
Little guy riding a horse, and it's great. I just found it the other day. I was going to put it on him, and Richard had taken a video of him running around with it. So as he runs, the little jockey goes up and down. It's actually very cute.
Did you laugh?
And yeah, Spike doesn't like it. Trixie was all about dress up, though. She loved dress up. She was such a clown. We'd put a tutu on her. We'd put reindeer antlers on her. She loved it, but Spike not so much.
And she didn't mind?
Trixie was just a clown.
She kept it on all week? Or all night?
Keep it on as much. Yeah, she didn't care.
After a while, I remember you told me after a while Spike didn't want the costume on. Like
No.
he would kind of roll around and try to get it off, right?
Well, I think people laughed at him, and it's funny how dogs are. I'm almost thinking that he thought they were making fun of him rather than thinking it was cute, and then he gets, ears are back, tails down.
Dogs have egos.
Yeah,
Folks,
he's not
they have
happy.
egos. They certainly have personalities. I will say that. All right. Do you want to... let's see here. Let's do Caught My Eye.
What caught your eye? Here's what Tim and John found.
So so for a while, and I was listening to some of doing a scan of the gay press, and this was a positive thing that had popped up that Cartier had done in China. So it revolves around a festival that they have in China. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, but it's the equivalent of like our Valentine's Day.
So it's a giving day, but it has to be a romantic other?
Yeah, it's like
Okay.
it's Valentine. It's their equivalent of Valentine's Day. They call it's QIXI Festival, and they said it's often described as the Chinese equivalent of the Western Valentine's Day, time for lovers and romance. So so Cartier put out an ad with their Trinity ring. Everybody's familiar with that ring. It's got the 3 bands on it, and they symbolize different things: trust and love and friendship and so forth. But it's those, you remember those rings that have they're kind of
I
like
do.
a puzzle almost, right?
Yep. They interlock somehow, right?
Yeah, they're 3 bands that are all together, and it's the campaign was called "How Far Would You Go for Love?" And they showed a bunch of different scenarios of people together. They showed same-sex couples of females and men riding bikes. Females were laying down chatting, men were riding bikes, and then there were some regular, I don't want to say regular, but then just couples, male, female couples. And so everybody really applauded Cartier to say, wow, this is really quite forward for them to be running this sort of campaign in China, which has done things like banning Brokeback Mountain. They banned any kind of film that might have a gay content or same-sex content to it. So the fact that Cartier went ahead and did this advertisement around one of their big holiday times and was able to run it, everybody thought, well, this is really going forward. So a lot of particularly in the West and in the U.S., a lot of the papers and a lot of the activists were really applauding Cartier and China for doing this. Well, not so quick.
Interesting.
So-
I was waiting for the but-bump.
Right. So the headline of the article was a Cartier advertisement was applauded for celebrating two men in love until Cartier claimed they're actually father and son. So so the ad, and I think you're showing pictures of it.
I'm showing two of them, and there is a picture you gave me of the two guys, like probably from the video or a different
Right.
shot, but they're like the ones looking at the other, and they're side by side. I can now see that the guy in the white shirt and like the beige vest on the left is older, but I don't. Okay, go ahead.
No. So and that's the point. So many people looked at this. There's no dialogue. There is no, the only thing in the ad, there's music, and then it shows these scenarios and tableaus of people. And it just simply says at the very end, how far would you go for love? And it's to market this ring, which is costs about $3,000. So many viewers, of course, interpreted it as representing gay and lesbian couples as well as other couples in China. They said, however, when the print version came out, so this was the video that was released first, when the print image or the print version came out, the image of the two men on the bicycles was captioned, "Father and son are also friends, happily sharing life's journey." And then all heck broke loose with people calling BS on it. And many viewers said they can't believe. They said, first of all, they look like they're the same age, these two guys.
Mm-hmm. So
they're claiming that China has once again decided that they were going to intercede and audit this and decide that this was family love. And then Cartier also put out a statement that said the advertisement is intended to tell the stories of romance, friendship, and family love, and that the love between a son and his father is also a special bond. And again, people are saying, and you're symbolizing it with a ring?
Which is often given as a sign of fidelity and relationship and love, right? I mean,
Right.
My dad never gave me a ring. I don't know about.
Well,
And if it did, it was like some kind of signet thing. It wasn't this, right?
Well, what they're saying is Cartier has just made this even more weird now, right? Because everybody's saying, "Ooh, now it's getting kind of borderline creepy." But they're blaming it on China and its censorship, and so I thought here again, I don't know if my guess is Cartier decided to bow to the Chinese if they wanted to continue selling in China, right? You're going to have to say that this is about a father and son. You're not representing homosexuality or gay couples because we don't approve. Or if you were Cartier, could you said, you know what, we're not going to do that. I can't believe Cartier would have done this ad and used father and son to symbolize love around Valentine's Day. Do you?
Nope. It doesn't hold water for me at all. Given the holiday you described,
Yep.
no. I think this creative was specifically done. Maybe they launched it thinking it wasn't going to get kind of the hype it was going to get. I mean, right? But it did, and now you got to deal with it.
Right. And they said even the Chinese were calling nonsense on it. So the Twitter equivalent in China, people said these guys look no more than 3 years apart. Also, I never heard of fathers and sons wearing matching rings. Trying hard to conceal something that should just be ordinary, and they're making it very weird. So they went on with this, and of course there was no comment. What did Cartier in a statement responded to the confusion and just stood simply by the gifting of the ring, and the ring could be for friendship or family love or any sort of story you would like it to be for.
Oh my God.
So they want to sell rings.
Yeah, they want to sell rings. Oh my God, it's a good one, and it's right in our wheelhouse because normally when a brand would do this and they would feature, either they do it quietly and it's like, wow, look, they featured an LGBTQ couple, or they would be splashy about it. Here's an example of they probably thought they could keep it quiet, it would reach the right consumer, but everybody paid attention, right?
Well, and that's why it caught my eye, was because there were a number of, whether it was the Advocate or the Philadelphia PGN, there were a number of news outlets that Queerty, Talroad, whether Queerty's news or not, that really were banging the drum on this was just such a great thing. And then when I saw the headline a few days ago that said, maybe not so fast. But I think we all are on the same page. I think it was a big walk back.
Yep.
And in order to satisfy the Chinese government. I don't know what's going to happen in China. Do you?
No.
You know, nobody's talking about what's going on in China, what's going on in Hong Kong, what's going on in Belarus. Anyway, that's a sign.
In terms of human rights, yeah, that's a whole. Yeah, that is it. I mean, everything seems distraction at this point. And when you look at, and in fact, I agree with you. I was listening to a show on NPR about other areas of the world and some political climates, and I was like, wow, this is all going on. And we're just so laser focused on what we're dealing with. And of course, the world is dealing with the event.
Yeah.
Well, what caught my eye was another, what I would only say, I often get trapped in the salacious headlines, but
You should.
and it's not so salacious; it's just horrifying. And basically, it's this: a dead woman was discovered alive in a body bag at a funeral home. I don't know how this happens. I'm gonna, of course, tell you how it happens here.
So we'll say that again. A dead woman was found alive.
Dead woman discovered alive in body bag at funeral home. And the subhead reads, 20-year-old Tamisha Beauchamp was discovered alive shortly before she was to be embalmed, according to the family lawyer. So the best way to do this is to just read some of the highlights of the article. A young woman who was declared dead at her suburban Detroit home opened her eyes at a funeral home as she was about to be embalmed. The Southfield Fire Department acknowledged it was involved in a bizarre set of events on Sunday, this is about 2 weeks ago, that began when a medical crew was summoned to a home where a 20-year-old woman was unresponsive. Paramedics tried to revive her for 30 minutes and consulted an emergency room doctor, the department said. So, they call in, it's like telemedicine from the field. The doctor, quote, pronounced the patient deceased based upon medical information provided from the scene. So they're talking to the guy in the emergency room. The Oakland County Medical Examiner's Office said the body could be released to the family without an autopsy, according to the fire department. So they might have deemed it as a heart so something in the field allowed them to not have to do the autopsy. But then came a startling discovery at the James H. Cole Funeral Home in Detroit. The woman was still alive more than an hour later. Our staff confirmed she was breathing. Feiger said they were about to embalm her, which is most frightening had she not had her eyes open. The funeral home unzipping the body bag, literally that's what happened to Tamisha, and seeing her alive with her eyes open. She's in critical condition. Beauchamp was in critical condition on Monday night. This is, as I said, about 2 weeks ago. And Brian Taylor, spokesman for the Detroit Medical Center. The mother said, "My heart is so heavy. Someone pronounced my child dead, and she's not even dead." And so that's basically the story. She seems, I guess she's in critical condition, but she's doing okay. But what a strange thing to actually go and declare someone, dead.
So she was non-responsive in the body
yeah.
bag, I guess.
For the half hour or however long it took them to move her from the home to the funeral home, yeah.
God, I can't imagine. That's horrific.
I'm going to say it this way, and I don't mean to be, I hope it's not like taken the wrong way, but had they chosen to perform an autopsy, they would have moved her to probably a morgue, and they would have put her in one of those freezer things. And so then if she then it might have really been the end, because she wouldn't have been found to have been responsive by the gentleman at the funeral home. So I wonder how often this stuff happens. I mean, we hear about this. This was a shocking little piece of news, but do you think it happens more than a couple times a year?
You hear them, you've heard them over the years once in a while. That's, something happened where they've, put somebody on a stretcher or something, they were pronounced dead, and then, they were revived. But I would have thought you take someone's pulse. I mean, I wonder if this woman had a pulse.
Good question. No, and I reviewed the article in a couple different publications, and it was basically the same set of facts. So the questions you're asking would be, did the field technicians detect a pulse? Did they do some kind of a airway check? Was she breathing? Yeah, it's that's caught my eye. Let's hope it doesn't happen to one of. And I'm glad she's okay. I hope that she moves from critical condition to normal again. But wow, just. What a scare for the family and for everybody, right?
Yeah, horrible. Just horrible. Jeez.
All right. Let's move on from that to our business birthday.
Everyone does celebrity birthday greetings, but the Focus Group is the only show in the universe that celebrates business birthdays.
So happy 51st birthday today to one of the co-founders of Cirque du Soleil. Of course, I'm going to have trouble pronouncing his name. He's French-Canadian from Quebec.
Give it a try, and I'll tell you.
Guy Laliberte.
Guy Laliberte. That is perfect. You did a good job.
Guy Laliberte.
Yep.
Born September 2nd, 1959, is 61 today. Canadian billionaire, businessman, and poker player. He used to, as a kid, he used to do performances in the streets in Quebec. He would do stilt walking and fire breathing and all kinds of things, and had this collection of friends that would raise money as street performers. And his parents had taken him to the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus
When he was a child, right?
when he was a child, and so he was fascinated with this. And then he ended up reading a biography about P.T. Barnum, and he always had it in his mind that he liked to do these performance things. He started doing the street performance things and some acrobatics and so forth, and became friends with lots of other street performers and made some money, played the harmonica, accordion, and so forth. And kind of just always had the fascination with it and would do it to make money on the side. So he goes off to college. He comes back, gets a full-time job at a hydroelectric dam in Quebec.
Wow, that's a light year away from Cirque du Soleil, right?
Decides it's not for him. So he goes back to street performing. And so in 1984, he and a buddy of his, Gil St. Croix, put together this small group of other performers, street performers, and developed what they called Cirque du Soleil. And it was really just initially done, the Canadian government, the government of Quebec, wanted them to do some sort of performance for the 450th anniversary of Jacques Cartier's discovery of Canada. Now, here's one of these odd things, John. We talked about Cartier earlier. Here's Jacques Cartier, right?
Mm-hmm. Interesting overlap, and I know you didn't plan that.
No, I know. First of all, I didn't know that somebody. I bet if you asked me, or anybody asked you who discovered Canada, would you have said Jacques Cartier?
No. Lewis and Clark. No. Lewis and Clark did.
Right. So the Cirque du Soleil was born. It was set up, as I said, as a one-year project, but it was so successful, Quebec wanted it to start touring and go to other provinces, and so they did that. The name Cirque du Soleil means Circus of the Sun, which Guy Laliberte came up with while he was in Hawaii. He said it reflected on the notion that the sun stands for energy and youth, and that's really what he wanted the circus to be, all about energy and youth. So as we know, Cirque du Soleil from 1984 on has grown into this huge international operation. They are on 5 different continents. It employs approximately 4,000 people in 40 different countries. The estimated revenue each year exceeds $810 million U.S. So and if you can't go to Vegas without tripping over a Cirque show. I mean, how many Cirque shows have we seen in Vegas?
There are at least 3 or 4 that are always, actually, it's a lot that's playing. It was Love. It was the one at New York. There was the Michael Jackson one. We've seen
the water one, the Humanity.
Well, that one we've seen the most. That was with your hostess of the mostest, Edie, right? Is everybody sexy tonight?
The last time you and I saw it, I think you and I could have been performers. I think we counted, we'd seen it 11 or 12 times. It was always a ticket we could get.
We could guess, yeah. Although that was Brian's first time seeing that particular one. Yeah.
So in 2015, he sold 90% of the stock in the company, but he still remained involved. And then he decided, now he's 61 years old. He decided he was going to be a world champion poker player. So he went out to Vegas, the Bellagio. He won one poker tournament over close to $700,000. And he's played now in a number of these different poker tournaments. So he's still got his hand in Cirque, but now he decided he's going to be this poker player. And then he did they said he's lost more money than anyone else in the world on online gaming. So he also does these online, you see these things on TV or whatever with these online electric games. Guess how much he lost?
Okay, I'm just going to throw a number out. Because of Cirque and everything, I'm going to say he's lost about $3 million online.
And you'd be way off.
Higher.
He's lost $31 million on online gaming. He plays these 6 different games. They said he's lost more money online than any other person in the world. Imagine losing $31 million on this.
No, I can't imagine losing 5. You know how you and I are about this, right?
Right, you debate whether you're going to put a 20 inch in it.
Yeah,
20.
yeah.
So aside from that now, so he's done all this. He's a man after your heart here. He's also was Canada's first space tourist.
Yeah, I'm showing a picture that you gave me of him now. Is in a suit that looks possibly Russian. Was he somehow sent up by the Russians?
I believe he went with the Russians. It was in 2009.
Okay.
And And the Canadian government found out about it. He was trying to do it based upon he said he was doing some sort of nonprofit work to talk about water and the environment and so forth. And the Canadian government called BS and charged him 90% of the value of the trip in a tax. So
He's going to analyze the oceans from orbit.
right.
Hey, he got a lift, though. Went to orbit. I like that.
He also bought a little French island in French Polynesia. And this was in 2007, and I found this one to be quite funny. He said, with all that's happening in the world, and this is in 2007, I said to myself, I'd like to have a place in case there's a pandemic or an all-out war. I could just bring people and bring family, and we'd all be protected on this little island. So he had an island. He has an island out there. I wonder if he's there now. It didn't say. He did get busted for growing pot, I believe, on the island. He had lost a bunch of money. He said He said the cultivation was really just for his personal use, but they said there was quite a bit of it. And he was recognized. He was recognized in 2004 as one of Time Magazine's 100 most influential people, and in 2007 he was named an Ernst & Young World Entrepreneur. And it just seems like kind of a guy you'd want to hang out with and have a cup of tea or a drink or coffee. And it sounds like he's had quite a ride.
Cool guy, very cool guy. And one thing I would definitely ask him, the unique thing about Cirque du Soleil was there were no animal performers. And I wonder if that was a personal.
I didn't realize that. Is that something? Did you read that?
Yeah,
somewhere?
it's all acrobatics and it's all human. But I've never seen a show with an animal performing, and I wonder if that's something that he was passionate about from his days of being in love with the circus. Because
that's a great question.
Well, even we all know that even as well treated as many of the animals are in the care of something like a Ringling Brothers circus before they were no more, it's still an animal in captivity. It's being trained. It's a lot of stuff, and there were always objections to that. So the Cirque thing was always the coolest thing because they didn't involve animals at all. It was just people and acrobats.
Yeah, I've always loved the Cirque shows.
Well, certainly for their inventiveness, right? I mean, it was like I remember the last one we saw was the Michael Jackson show, and before that was the Love, which was based on the Beatles music, which it's one incredibly staged thing after another until you're like, wow, how do they do this?
Yep.
And they're doing it all over the world, and it's a great business birthday, excellent one, and a cool guy. All right. As many of you know, Deep Discount is a partner of ours here on the Focus Group, and we would like you to visit them by going to our site, and that would be focusgroupradio.com. Click on the Deep Discount logo and begin your shopping. Arr! You'll see the logo as Sharky the Shark, even though I do a pirate voice. So we're really happy about September because September is Criterion month, and we love the Criterion collection. Save up to 40% on many of the titles that are offered by Criterion. They're all offered, as a matter of fact, through Deep Discount. And, I'm looking at the homepage right now. I'll tell you a couple I would pick right now. War of the Worlds, and then Until the End of the World. There's a sci-fi theme there. But Tim and I love the Criterion collection because we call it the gold standard. It's often beautifully remastered prints with upgraded and enhanced soundtracks and lots of cool extras. So I'm going to give you one of my picks, and then we're going to actually be giving away some Criterion discs. So you're going to want to keep tuned to this. One of my favorites, and a movie that I bonded on with our marketing friends over at Deep Discount, is the movie Being There. It's Peter Sellers' last film. It's based on a book by Jerzy Kaczynski, and it's directed by the great Hal Ashby, and starring Melvin Douglas, Shirley MacLaine, and Peter Sellers. If someone says, "What's my favorite movie?" you might be tempted to say what?
It's probably the one of the Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back.
Very good. That would be but I put this movie up at the top of my list above everything else. I saw it at an age that made an impression. It's beautifully done. I watch it at least once a year. So I really think you should check it out, and you'll love it. So as I mentioned, we're going to be giving away this movie right here. Criterion provided us with a bunch of copies of The Times of Harvey Milk. It is an amazing movie. Bob saw it when he was younger. He just actually rewatched it. I haven't seen it yet, but it's an Oscar-winning movie directed by Robert Epstein, one of the first feature documentaries to address gay life in America. It's a work of advocacy itself, bringing Milk's message of hope and equality to a wider audience. Amazing documentary. And this packaging of it, what the Criterion Collection has done is they've added some wonderful historical information and more documentary information from behind the scenes. So it really rounds out the picture even better than when the movie was first released, because it's actually an older movie. So we're going to give a couple of copies of this away, and the way this works is this. I'm going to play an audio clue. We used to call this Pick That Flick on our old platform, but I'm going to play a clue, a snippet from a movie. If you know where this snippet came from, just send us the name of the movie to letters@focusgroupradio.com. That's letters@focusgroupradio.com. If it's an email you use frequently and you win, I'll email you back and I'll ask you for your mailing address. We're only going to use it to send you the disc. But if it's one you don't check too often, you might want to include your mailing address. I've had to do some spelunking in the past to find these things. But here we go. I'm going to play for you the clue. And if you know it, again, letters@focusgroupradio.com. Here we go.
What are these? Those aren't the right kind. I told you, chop down the old black one.
Should I give it another go, Tim?
Of course.
What are these? Those aren't the right kind. I told you, chop down the old black one.
How can you? All right. Leave
No,
it at
it's
that.
not Frank DeCaro.
No. All right. And what is our new release this week?
So the new release is a movie called Irresistible on Blu-ray. And I'll read the description here for you. Desperate for a splashy win, Democratic political consultant Gary Zimmer, Steve Carell, was taken with a viral town hall video of plain-speaking Wisconsin farmer veteran Jack Hastings, Chris Cooper. Gary successfully pitches Jack on a mayoral run in his deep red community, a task that gets tougher when Zimmer's old Republican nemesis Faith Brewster, Rose Byrne, lends her savvy to the incumbent. I haven't. So this is a satire, obviously, about a political race. I've not seen it. Have you? Have you seen this movie?
It was due to be released in theaters, and then the event hit, and because it's from 2020. So
Yep.
I think one of the cool things about this movie is it's probably on a lot of the streaming platforms right now. So if you're not paying a subscription to one, don't bother getting a subscription. Get the Blu-ray. It's
Right.
easier, and you could share it with family and friends when you're done. But I think I saw commercials for it, and I was intrigued because I somehow think that directed by Jon Stewart.
Yeah, I saw that. Is that the Jon Stewart?
That's the Jon Stewart. And so when it came out, there was a lot of press about it, and then everything else was overwhelmed, so we didn't hear more about it. But I think I'd like to see it just because he directed it, right?
Right. So it's a great thing, and our friends at Deep Discount, of course, it's a great place to find all kinds of media, and particularly with what's going on, I think more and more people are cocooning at home a little bit as we get into the winter. So a great place to find all the movies that you'd like to have or that you need to replace. I often give movies away and they don't come back. Does that happen to you?
Yeah, I have to rebuy them. Being there, I'm on my third copy, by the way. I just want you to know, and I'm not giving it away because it's the Criterion version of Being There, so no one's getting it. Okay.
So if you be sure, we're going to post to our website also the clue for the giveaway for the Harvey Milk film. So be sure to follow along at our Facebook page. And in order to get to Deep Discount, head over to focusgroupradio.com, click on the Deep Discount logo, start shopping away. The new pick this week is Irresistible, and John's favorite is Being There, right, Mr. Nash?
You got it.
You got it. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to do a little shop talk that revolves around retirement and the ideal time to retire, which we both kind of raised an eyebrow about. So stay tuned.
You're listening to The Focus Group with Tim and John. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com. Focus on the savvy side of 9 to 5 with The Focus Group.
Try, really try.
Listen, laugh, and learn with Tim and John.
I never try anything. I just do it.
Hey, welcome back to the Focus Group. John Nash with Tim Bennett. FocusGroupRadio.com is where all our media is housed. That is my phrase for the day. It's a media warehouse. We got audio, we got video, we got everything, including Unbuttoned, our Tuesday podcast, which we would love you to start subscribing to. So at the top of the show, and just a moment ago, Tim teased the article that he found, and this is the ideal age to retire according to experts. Now, a couple of caveats. This came from the Lancet Public Health Journal. A lot of the data relates to folks in the UK, but we feel that I think we're just talking about people in general. I think you could actually apply that to the American worker as well. And the synopsis is really something pretty simple. They look at it and they say, according to the data, a 50-year-old worker can expect to be healthy and to continue working for approximately 9 more years. It's slightly different with women, but if you're looking at the male, that means you're still in your prime, working prime, until 59, and that would be the time this article suggested that you may want to retire. Now they don't have it there, we don't have it here. They work till 67, 68, just like we do. But I find it fascinating that 59 is the number. And the minute we read it, Tim and I were like, sign me up for that one, please.
Yeah, pretty close. I mean, we'd like to retire at 30.
Yeah.
But 59 seemed odd to me only because what is the full is it 72 that we have to go in order if you wanted your full
standard?
Social Security,
yeah.
or is it...
Well, standard retirement to get your normal benefit is 65, 66, or 67, depending on the grandfathering of when they might have changed some of the retirement legislation. 72 is when you get your maximum benefit. So if you wait and wait and wait, your check's going to go up. Any accountant or actuarial will tell you might not want to wait that long. However, if you come from a family with a lot of longevity and you have had relatives that maybe have lived to the ripe old ages of 90 or 100, you may want to wait, because then that will extend those resources for you. But I've always heard take it when you can. Is that your...
I've heard take it when you can, too. And then Susie Orman came out with a new book, and she's like, oh, you need to wait. But I don't know. She's the first one I've ever heard that says you should wait. I think if you're independently wealthy enough to wait until you're 72, then that would be great, right? But if you need the money, or if you want to use the money, why not take it when it's available?
Do you know anybody? Now, I'm asking, it's kind of a leading question because I have folks that I know myself, but do you know anybody who started taking it at 62?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know, and many of my friends, particularly friends, and we have a good friend in the IRS, and he's like, it's, the actuarial tables are all built against you, so take it when you can.
Now, when he says something like "take it when you can," is he thinking "take it when you can" at 62, or
62
is he think
at the lowest amount? Take it.
Seriously?
Right, because at the end of the day, if you think about the way you live, so I think we've done the math before. If you look at And there's actually, if you go onto Social Security, there's actually a graph if you type in the age of when it will cross over. So there will be a point where, say you take it 13 years earlier, you take it at 62 instead of 72. So that's 10 years. So that money that you're going to get from 62 to 72, by the time you make up that 10 years, you might be 88 years old. You might be 84 years old, whatever the age is. And you're probably not spending the way you would at 62.
No.
Right,
in fact, you're not buying a lot of durable goods. You're not home buying usually. You're in the maintenance mode, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, unless there's, the biggest issue we all know, the big unknown is going to be healthcare.
Mm-hmm. Medical.
Because we can't get that figured out. But I like, my dad retired at 59. And he was one of the, people that probably could have, I think it was 62 for their age, the baby boomers, right? The early, our parents' age. But he decided to retire at 59. And he had said to me, not that long ago when I was up visiting, he said, when are you going to retire? And he said, do it when you can, as soon as you can, because, as he's using a walker and having trouble get around, there's something to be said for that. Yeah, I'm in my 80s, but it's certainly not the way it was when I retired in my late 50s, early 60s, and I could still go around and do things.
And he did. He was active.
Very active. Went fishing and built things and was very active with his grandchildren and all kinds of stuff, which he really would love to do now, but just physically
Can't do it.
Can't do it.
I'm
you know?
wondering, I think Medicare starts at 65, right?
I
So
think
he must. Your dad must have had a like the folks that I know that stopped working at 62 had some type of union benefit or union health insurance that lasted them till 65. It was like a 3-year gap thing. Is that
You're
the same
exactly
thing?
right. He was a union. He was a union sheet metal guy, sheet metal engineer. So he really was fortunate and was always very much a big believer in having a plan for that in retirement. Which, you know, I was just talking to somebody the other day. Said we should have all worked at the post office. You know, you could essentially go there and do an okay job and leave with a pension. But
Well, government work in general, right? I mean,
government work-
choose it. Yeah.
Why didn't anybody tell us that?
We
All these
were
people, like-
never told this. No one came at career day. No one came from the bureaucracy to say, hey, you know, you might want to be a bureaucrat. We were going to be the president. We were going to be an astronaut and a doctor.
I mean, I'm down here in Rehoboth Beach, the nation's summer capital. It's loaded with people with these pensions that have these, you know, beautiful homes. I'm thinking, I didn't think government people made any money. Apparently they do. I don't know. I'd laugh because they're all going to retire with pensions that you can't believe, John. I mean,
Fool.
some of these people, even if they're lying, and it's only 75% of this,
It's still a number, right? Yeah.
pretty darn good. Yeah. So I don't. And then I heard another friend of mine with an oil company was the other thing. They still give pensions. Can you imagine?
Yeah,
For ExxonMobil?
one of my cousins worked for well, back in the day it was Texaco, and he's a petroleum engineer. He's moved on from that, but he's still in the industry. But even from those days of that, whatever the stint was, there is a pension coming from that, which I think is that's what we grew up with. At least in my world, I remember people talking about the company pension and stuff like that, but that's not here now, right?
Do you plan to retire?
Yes, I do. I've given it a lot more thought. If you asked me that 4 or 5 years ago, I would have told you, no, I'm going to work all the way till I drop. No. Unless that work is possibly volunteering, you know, contributing your time to stuff, helping out, and it might seem like a job, but I'm now rethinking that and thinking, as we watch our parents age, and I'm sure most of our listeners can totally relate to what we're saying here. Both our parents actually were very active into their 70s, right? Late 70s. And then 80 hit, and it's a roll of the dice, right? You know, what's going to happen? Do you slip? Does someone slip and fall, and that changes the trajectory of their mobility? It's a lot of things. And so, yeah, I think that, but
well,
again,
the body wears out, right? The body wears out. And if you're active, and I've learned that from my rowing times, and I'm sure it'll eventually catch up to you with cycling, though you started a little later. But I know with me, as I got into my 50s, my knees, my back, all kinds of things that I thought would last forever, just being worn out.
That's kind of like when a while ago, I don't know who it was that a couple of high-profile names retired from the NFL, for example, and one of the athletes basically just said, this is a really rough sport, and I would like to enjoy my older age. And I think he meant physically. Like, I don't want to have all this stuff creep up on me. And I kind of was like, wow, he's right. I mean, think about football for a minute. That is, boom, contact sport, bar none.
Well, and all the pressure, and an old friend of mine down at the boathouse said that to me as well. He said, you know, they didn't tell us when we were 18, 19, 20, 21 that doing this constant banging on your knees and your back was going to affect you into our 40s and 50s. He said, so, you know, there's not I would say half the rowing people I know either have back problems or knee problems or hip problems, shoulder problems, but it's constant pulling and tugging. And I'm sure in your sport as well, I'm sure that the knees of constant bending and moving, it's the same sort of thing, whether it's hips or knees. Maybe the impact is not as hard with cycling, but I know in rowing, the impact of just pushing constantly, it's like doing jumpies or jumping jacks all the time.
Yeah, they've even identified athletes as having sometimes abnormally larger hearts because of the amount of blood flow and oxygenation, which can cause problems later on down the road. You think to yourself, wow, I got a great heart, you know, I can do what I want to do, but yeah.
So did you pick a year?
Oh, I would do it as soon as I can. I've revised everything to look at for you and me because of the decade. I think we are 66 and a half or something, or are we 67?
Yeah, somewhere. I think you're right. 67.
So we got a ways to go.
So you'll wait till 67?
And then I'll pull the trigger, yeah.
Really? So I'll be way before you.
You think so?
I'm going to do 59.
Well, yeah, you never know, right? Bob is set to retire a little before me, and but again, this game of retirement is a game now. I think we all know that we want to save an appropriate amount for what we think will be our lifestyle and our needs financially at this endpoint down the road. But if circumstances change things, we may have to change those plans, right? But again, the big question mark, medical costs. And that's the one my financial advisor just smirks at. He said, we don't even have a number for you there. I'm sure your guy tells you the same thing, because every year it's this, it's that.
Yeah, no one seems to know.
So there you go. Not a great article, Tim. Thank you for finding that for us.
Well, I'm going to have to talk you out of 67.
You're not going to have to talk too hard. You can make a case pretty easily, and I'll fall in line.
I'll do the Tim math for you. Get you right down to 0.
Okay.
Cross the line. Hey, thanks for joining us today. We appreciate all of you that join us here in the focus group. And be sure to send us any notes or ideas or thoughts. We like getting those either through our social media, which is Focus Group Radio, or 2 letters at focusgroupradio.com. We want to thank our friends at Deep Discount. Be sure to check in with John's Pick That Flick. We'll be doing it for the month of September. We're giving away, what's the exact title, John? The Life and Times of Harvey Milk?
Wait, where do I have it? I have it sitting.
I think I have it written down here too. Because there's a couple of them.
Yeah.
It's the Times
of Harvey Milk. That's what it is. Right. And it's a great
Criterion
movie.
Collection.
Yeah.
And as John says, it's a great movie. And so we did Pick That Flick. So if you want to rewind, you go back and guess what the clip is, and then get a chance to win a copy of that on Blu-ray. Also, this week's release at Deep Discount is Irresistible, starring Steve Carell, and directed by Jon Stewart, which could be quite interesting. And thanks, everybody, for joining us. Be sure to catch our Tuesday podcast, which is TFG Unbuttoned. If you go to focusgroupradio.com, you can find all of our audio and video properties there, and they're all free.
Housed.
So we hope
housed.
Oh, housed. That's right. What am I supposed to say? Housed?
Our media is housed.
Our media is housed at focusgroupradio.com. Let us know if you like the pink. John's added pink onto our little
graphics package.
Our little graphics package here. So again, thanks for joining us. Everybody stay safe. Wear a mask. Don't text and drive. Arrive alive. And we'll see you next Wednesday. Take care.
It's The Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash. Accessible on all platforms. Subscribe, like, and rate us on your platform of choice. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com.
That was a stunning focus group.